Are we ready for another e-bike battery? This is Pete's battery. Yes, that's how it came in. That and that. On the plus side, it's been disassembled. And it's fortunate that Pete has taken some photos and he's sent those to me as well for reassembly. Usually the first thing I do is check output voltage, but I think there's some degree of reassembly is required first. Let's take it out to the box. Trying to make some kind of sense of the layout. I think it's more or less it. First thing I notice on these is that they've got copper strips on them, not nickel strips. Let's see if that can be seen. Boston Power Swing, 24 volts, 10 amp, copper interconnects. Now I know there's a company in southern part of England that rebuilds these packs with copper strips. I think his name was Jimmy. I wonder if this is one of his. I always like to do a visual. There are some broken things on here already. Can that be seen? There's a red and a brown going to the gauge. That's come off the circuit board. That'll have to be fixed. Now the complaint from Pete was that this battery would run for about a mile or so, then cut out. Then when he removed the battery and reconnected it, it ran for another mile, that kind of thing. So it has some issues. Let's see if we can find out what they are. So what's the batteries on this? It looks like lithium ions, 4 in parallel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Making nominal 24 volts, 29 volts when full. This is a small balance connector. Pete was complaining that these wires were getting stretched and he was thinking of extending them, as they were plugging into the BMS obviously. This is only a 6-cell tester. I'm trying to test 7 cells. So all of those are close to 4 volts. I'll have to slide up 1. 5, 6, okay, so there's no dead cells in that. They might collapse under load, we don't know until I test it. And while looking for the charging ports on the ends, that's it there. So both of these little wires have decided to come off the gauge. That's going to be fun. And nothing. That's positive, that's negative. No, zilch. Let's try applying a charge. What kind of charger is it? Sands, come on. 29.4 volts, 1.8 amp. As in the LED. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157 158 159 160 LED lights up as green when disconnected. Let's try connecting the charger. Okay, it's turned red. Still no output voltage. Yeah, it's very clever, Timmy. Just remember this pot of parts that came with it. And the main fuse is supposed to be fitted. Now I'm not going to get an output with that fuse. That's better. With the fuse on, in, shows me my outputs. I'll continue to let that charge until the change of state, till that turns green. Why is that red light start to blink? It's gone over voltage. What? I think it's just my meter. It's maybe coming up to full charge. Still a bit short of the 29.2, 29.4 I was expecting. I just noticed another problem. Maybe that's why this charger is flashing. I'll go handheld here, hold on. I have a wire that's disconnected from the battery pack. That's the negative. Now I know what Paul meant when he said that the wires were too tight. That one certainly is. Let's try again. Ah. Now that's showing full. It's not disconnected, is it? I seem to keep on finding problems. So when checking voltages, don't short anything else. Which one was it? Yes, that one on the end. Let me show that. You can probably see that before I put the knife in there. Not connected. Ugh. Who said copper strips were good? That doesn't help, does it? So it doesn't help that these move about. Somebody put hot glue on that, but obviously it doesn't work. So I'll check all of these joints and repair that one. Before I put this back together, before I tape all the cells, something else that Paul said, that the BMS was rubbing against one of the cells. That's gone down to the metal. Dangerous. I've checked the rest of the joints, they appear to be fine. Apart from that one, that was just a mechanical stress of these being loose. I've cleaned up and soldered that back onto the battery. And don't tell me I can't solder back onto the battery. Just don't. I know that's about it now, it's all backwards, but let me try charging it again. Back to charging. Let's hope that nothing else comes loose. Now that's finished charging. LED. It took another hour or so. I'll just check a couple of random voltages. Random cells. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. I'm nudging the camera as I'm doing it, I know. Before I do a discharge test on it, another small repair. This is the fuel gauge. The battery wires have relocated from. So luckily they're marked on the board, so go ahead and repair that. One quick fix. The wires back on, see if it works. I've hooked up my subcompact unit to the battery. It's showing all 7 cells, so when I do a discharge I can monitor each one. Now we're ready for a discharge test. Voltmeter showing full voltage, clamp meter for current, and individual cell voltages. Let's go! Same for about 10 amps, shall we? Go! Let's see what dies first. Cells holding at 10 amps, 27 volts. All my voltages there seem to have gone down to 0. 24 volts, 9 amps. Terminate the test there. And that's a run for 30 minutes on 10 down to 9 amp. I think that's a pass. All cells have recovered. It's a 3.6. Let's do a temperature check. BMS. Just warm. 30-40 degrees. Cells about the same. And just when you think you've finished and that all is well, you find something else. Just checking these connectors, these bullets. Can that be seen? Let's try and get closer. Not very tight, is it? That's the main output wire. Let's see if we can tighten that up. That's all the repairs done. It's time to put it back together. I was hoping that the BMS would fit on top of the pack here, but it's about 2mm too big to fit in the housing. So it looks like it's going to have to go here, and that's going to mean extending some wires. I'm nearly ready to put this back together. I've extended some balance wires, a main power wire, made a few new joints, some bullet connectors in there, and 2 different colours of shrink wrap. They're the only colours I had in those sizes. I'm assuming that's the only place this BMS will go, even though I think it's going to have to be at a diagonal like that. It's slightly too long there. Seeing how it's going to fit in the case. I'll show you the case. It's got loads of goop, struck cement in there. I assume this is where the BMS went, or goes. in just about. There's a BMS at a slight angle, that's okay. And before finishing that up, putting some packing pieces on the inside, I'll give it a charge and a quick discharge. That's going to take a few hours to charge. Then I'll put it back together, do a discharge test on it, and send it back to the customer. So it's goodbye from me and Boston Power Swing. If that was useful at all, leave me a like, leave me a dislike, leave me a comment, and a popular horse meat sandwich.